Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. And after this month's crossover with Creepy that bled into January. Anyway, I think it's best for me and Creepy to get back to basics when it comes to our Japan-themed crossovers, especially in order to avoid anything produced by Rankin Bass.
I suppose, with Gamerathon 3 approaching, it would better suit both of us if we focused on something more suited to our mission's tastes.
I'm so happy you agree. So, La Blue Girl it is?
Only if you want to have your channel deleted.
I think that's a review for another day, and another series. Besides, didn't you inform me that you had purchased a bunch of Japanese DVDs and Blu-ray?
Well, yeah, but I spent so long working on Gamerathon 3 and letting things linger far too long that I really shouldn't have, that I haven't had a chance to go through them.
Wonderful.
At least Decker is maintaining the same standard of excellence since you two met.
True.
Fine. Let's see. I really don't know anything about these movies. Oh, God, they're Japanese and had interesting titles, so I figured, why not? How about this? Big Man Japan.
I'm sorry. What?
Big Man Japan. See? Right here.
Once again, Decker's trying to trick us into reviewing a porno film. At this point, I shouldn't be surprised.
And yet, he cringed way back when I suggested going into the business as a way of procuring more funds.
Released in 2007 under the original Japanese title, Giant Japanese Man, this movie, interestingly enough, is not a porno, but rather a mockumentary-style satire of modern Japanese culture and the tokusatsu/kaiju genres.
Meaning, this really isn't a porno. I'm surprised.
And I suppose you would rather have us cover La Blue Girl for real.
Which version? The live-action or animated one?
There's a live-action La Blue Girl?
Oh yes.
So, who stars in Big Man Japan anyway? Hitoshi Matsumoto, whom also wrote and directed the film, takes the starring role of Masaru Daisato, a middle-aged superhero with the power to enlarge himself and a duty to defend Japan against attacks by giant monsters.
Which adds up once you take into consideration the fact that Matsumoto is a well-known comedian and huge kaiju fan.
He is?
For the past 30 or so years, yes.
Oh. How the hell was I supposed to know?
You've been researching Japan for a year. What were you doing this whole time?
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I need to research some of the actresses in this movie.
Put the phone down and start the review, Decker.
Fine. This movie opens to our star, protagonist, what have you, and we quickly establish his most dire character traits.
傘ですか？傘、折りたたみの必要な時だけ大きくなれるっていうのがなんか不思議でね。
I have something like that too. Only it's not an umbrella.
Hey! I told you never to bring that up again. I'm still traumatized after I watched you destroy that castle wall.
What? No, I was talking about my tripod.
I know! Stop it! And then he gets off the bus.
So we see.
And then he walks down the street.
Yes, we can see that, Decker.
Riveting. Can we move on?
And then he gets to his house.
Can we please move on already? At this rate, I'll be better off watching a documentary about Japanese grass growing. I was being sarcastic. It's like this movie is trying to outsnark me, and that's just not allowed.
It's a documentary! These establishing shots are important.
These establishing shots have been going on for 5 minutes. Something should have happened by now.
猫飼ってるんですね。
いや、飼ってるわけじゃないんだけど、たまに遊びに来るんだよね。
Something substantial!
Something other than more dialogue.
一人ですか？
一人だね。
What about that?
That was unexpected.
The interview establishes that Masaru lives alone with his stray cat, but has a daughter with a wife whom he is estranged from. The unseen interviewer behind the camera inquires about the amount of money Masaru makes per month, which is...
20万と20万その支給がプラス副収入で30ぐらいだね。
$3,000 sounds nice.
Japan doesn't use dollars. It uses yen.
The subtitles aren't exactly as precise as they could have been.
Well, if he's making $3,000 a month, that would explain why he's still living in squalor.
And then he walks down the street. Again.
Yes, we see that.
Again.
And he stops in a noodle shop.
いつも力うどんですか？
いつも力うどんだね。
Because he's a superhero, right?
We're taking this long just to establish a character's dietary habits.
And then he stops by a park to...
Stop it, Decker. We don't need to hear about every single mundane thing that this guy does.
This isn't mundane. He spends like 10 minutes here.
Okay, I'm cutting in so we can hurry this along some. Masaru goes into some depth about the relationship he has with his wife and daughter, specifically how he would like for his daughter to take over the family name and job. However, this possibility is made difficult by the fact that he can only see them once a month.
Oh, fuck, that just leave me with more time to play Alien Isolation.
I believe that they're trying to establish that his family ties are strained, Decker.
Which is about more time for video games? However, something exciting is about to happen.
どうしたんですか？
もう化けないといけないんで。
So his cell phone battery is low? What does that have to do with anything?
Given what we've seen so far, it's probably more character establishment.
Hey, that stuff about the umbrella was important. At least until Creepy brought up its tripod. Masaru races off to the nearest charging station, whose path is replete with messages from his, adoring public? But finally, after so long, we get to see... I said finally, after so long, we get to see... Finally, after so long, we get to see...
すみません、ちょっと今ちょっと取材中なんですよ。入らせてもらっていいですか？すみません。
God damn it!
In other words, all of this has been a pointless waste of time.
It's establishing...
What a pointless waste of time this is? From a distance and through the smokescreen, we see Masaru grow giant-sized and fight the first monster of the film, which is...
The fuck?
Chibithulu, did another one of your relatives go into the acting business without warning us in advance?
Oh, him? How could you mistake this guy for being related to me? We look nothing alike! Besides, he's nowhere near weird enough.
Fair point.
As impressive, if utterly bizarre, as this looks, the fight comes down to Big Man Japan striking the monster with a stick several times. At the battle aftermath party, such as it were, we get a few words from Big Man's PR agent while he rests up in the next room.
視聴率とか最近なんか悪いみたいですけど。
まあ最近というか
You mean this guy can grow giant size and fight monsters and save countless lives in a city, and nobody gives a fuck?
戦ってんだからなんか知らないですけど。見ました？
見てないです
It would seem so.
Did 4chan conquer Japan while we weren't looking?
Never joke about that. Ever!
Masaru explains to the audience that it wasn't always this way, and that the previous generations of giant heroes were treated with far more respect, but none more so than his grandfather, whom he refers to as the Fourth.
だからもう芸者集集めて毎晩どんちゃん騒ぎとかも聞いてるよね。
And while he was big, he was actually able to play games with the original Xbox controller.
Hold up. If Big Man from the 1940s was the fourth generation, what about the other three? How did they power up in an age where electricity wasn't commonplace or even utilized the way it is now?
Rub their heads on a giant balloon?
This would explain Big Man's post-transformation hairstyle.
Following this exposition, word comes of another monster terrorizing part of Japan. But it's not that imperative, so instead of transforming as quickly as possible, Masaru takes the train to the dilapidated shed/sacred shrine. This time around, the cameraman is allowed inside, so we can witness Big Man Japan's transformation up close. But first, we have to go through the pre-transformation rituals.
Oh, すいません、すいません。もう一回やってもらえます？はい。のとこから。はい。はい。すいません。
Which is clear nobody gives a flying fuck about.
意識は別にやらなくてもいいんですよ。
Well, it is nice when a film admits that the scenes are a complete waste of our time.
But it's time for the big transformation scene. Let's hope the government invested in a giant fucking washing machine.
I don't know. It feels like they should have dressed Big Man Japan in a fundoshi. Then again, think about how long it would take to tie one of those things around his crotch.
This movie's weird enough as it is creepy. Besides that, there are already plenty of unnecessary scenes, like the one we just saw. And at long last, we have the second fight scene, pitting Big Man Japan against...
The Japanese Elvis hopping monster.
I'm just wondering where that thing found enough hair gel and managed to apply it.
Thank you, Decker. That's going to bother me all night.
That one was even easier than the last one.
Maybe the ad space on Big Man's chest gave him a buff.
This isn't a video game, Decker. That's just bad CGI. Though I can see where one would make that mistake. Spring arrives, and we fast forward to Masaru visiting his grandfather, the still living number 4, at a care home for senior citizens. Despite what we've seen of Masaru's life so far, he appears to have an amicable relationship with his grandfather, though the man is unfortunately going senile.
And there's the problem of his grandfather's joyriding.
Even in a documentary, Tokyo Tower is never safe.
Ah well, it's been a while since we've seen Tokyo Tower destroyed, so why not? For some reason, Masaru does not feel it's his responsibility to deal with his supersized grandfather. However, he is willing to begrudgingly rent out space on his lower back for advertisement. This brings us to our third CGI kaiju battle between Big Man and... the One-Eyed Monster.
Should we go with One-Eyed Monster or One-Eyed Snake?
I don't fucking care.
Again, this fight goes even easier than the last, since all Big Man needs to do to defeat the monster is knock the eye into someplace dark.
That too.
Just when Big Man Japan believes that the battle is over, however, he is trounced from behind by...
What? Really big red guy?
I think it's supposed to reference the red oni from Japanese folklore.
Really? Because according to some people, that's supposed to represent Red China. Or North Korea. Or both.
I'm sticking with Creepy's theory. This movie's confusing enough without bringing politics into it.
After getting his face stomped in, Big Man Japan seeks revenge. Later. Much later. In fact, according to him, never. His defeat has earned him even more scorn from the general public, but his agent doesn't mind so much as the ratings are now better than ever.
あの時逃げてくれたおかげで腰のロゴがよく見えたんですよ。あれはすごい良かったんだけど。
Because ad revenue. That's what's most important.
Was that a Freudian slip?
Without a doubt, definitely.
No. Patreon's important too.
Summer arrives, and with it comes Big Man Japan's verbal sparring match against an elderly female kaiju, the Stink Monster.
とにかくこの都会に来ちゃダメだよ。郊外の方に行きなさい。
なんやのあんたこそそれ。パンツ一丁で棒持って。
This battle also has... well... this.
女性の方が全く感じてない。なんだよこれ。
I thought you said this wasn't a porno, Decker!
I don't think he knew.
This event does not help Masaru's popularity, but he doesn't have time to mope over the fact because the next kaiju battle has already arrived.
Oh, well, that ought to be easy. How tough can a baby, even a giant one, be? See? We finally won.
True. And it was a one-hit kill. Too bad no one in Japan sees this as a good thing.
無抵抗な子供を殺してしまったというのは事実ですので、彼にここに来てちゃんとイメージアップって。
I swear, no appreciation, none.
It was an infant monster.
Well, it might have grown up into this horrible creature that makes children cry everywhere.
If you're going to insult something, Decker, try to make sure you don't carry the same faults.
Masaru decides not to join the ceremony as he denies any responsibility for the creature's death. Wanting to get him back on track, his crew tries to convince him to fight the big red monster once again, but Masaru's still not interested. Fortunately for them, the man's a ridiculously deep sleeper, allowing them to sneak into his house, strip him naked, throw the purple grease on, clamp his nipples, and shock him all the way back to giant size against his will.
They could always send a cat in to fight the monster instead.
You've never owned a cat, have you? Hey, Tara! Tara! Get the mailman! Tara! Mailman!
Actually, yeah, you're right. Good point.
The rematch between Big Man and Big Red does not go in Big Man's favor. However, who should show up waiting to be tagged in but the fourth?
Which means Masaru's grandfather has been running around giant-sized in a fundoshi for months.
Did no one in the Japanese government think that shrinking him down was a priority? The fourth fares no better against Big Red after he is tagged in, culminating in...
But he's still alive! Never mind. Grand patricide isn't enough, though. Big Man has to suffer the indignity of being set on fire, stomped on some more, and having some jackass crank the bloom lighting up to 9,000.
What?
What the fuck?
出ないでスーパージャスティス見えるわジャスティス
Wait, what? What am I looking at?
Wait, what is going on?
Did you put in a different movie, Decker?
No, I didn't. I have no idea what... I'm having Prometheus levels of confusion. Again! Holy shit, do I feel bad for that suit actor.
I'm wondering where they got the giant-sized newspapers from.
I don't think we're meant to ponder it too much, Chibithulu.
So I figured. I only asked because I want to keep up with the times if I ever get back into my old body.
Baby, you are die!
Did someone break the moon again? Like in Devilman? Is that what's going on?
Did someone just leave the camera on the editing department so I just go with it? Is that what's going on?
Good for you?
Yes! Very, very good.
Why, you should know your superpowers. What's the point of bringing in third parties?
This is like if the Wonder Twins brought some bum off the street to join in on their transformation sequence.
Because self-esteem is overrated.
At this point, I'm really hoping this isn't supposed to be a metaphor for something.
Who cares? I just want this movie over.
Was that it?
いきなりバスでバーンっていうのはまずはパンチとかさキックとか
Yes, there was.
Well, that was certainly an interesting choice.
If we had just reviewed Perfect Blue like I suggested, none of this would have happened. And it would have been way less of a mind screw.
Well, that was Big Man Japan, and it was a... How did it end?
I don't know.
Wait, you're asking us?
I'm really confused and honestly disappointed in how this movie ended. Mainly because as long and drawn out as the first 90 minutes were, they did build up a story that you could get behind. I was interested in finding out what happened to Masaru, his daughter, his estranged wife, his agent, and his cat, but when the movie brings all of this tension to a fever pitch, it suddenly says, fuck it, and I don't even know.
Though this film is certainly not tailored to an American audience's tastes, it has its merits. Many of the things Decker and I snarked concerning it were actually deliberate. The slow pacing and unnecessary scenes were used to illustrate the decline of Masaru's life and duty as a superhero. What was once regarded as a sacred duty and noble occupation has degenerated into public ridicule and cheap entertainment for the masses. Masaru lives in perpetual poverty while his agent and those connected to him prosper.
As much as I can appreciate the plot that plays through the majority of this film and even enjoy the slower pace building up in humorous ways, I still always come back to that damn ending. Everything built up is simply discarded and characters we've never seen before take over the whole damn thing. Yes, this can work for comedic purposes, and I did find it entertaining in its own right, but even then it made the majority of this movie seem pointless. The beginning can be enjoyed on its own, and the ending has its charm, but they simply don't go together well at all, and in my opinion, hurt the overall product, coming in at 2 kaiju mating dances out of 5.
There are a lot of fan theories concerning the ending of Big Man Japan and what it really symbolizes. I question whether or not Matsumoto intended for the finale to be symbolic, or merely pulled a Hideaki Anno, hoping the audience would draw their own conclusions for him. Either way, Big Man Japan has a style and humor that is fun and easy enough to enjoy if you have the patience. The ending is very much a mind screw, and easily the film's biggest flaw. However, I still enjoyed it enough to rate it as far as 3 hopping Elvis head monsters out of 5.
Though I am curious as to whether or not I can get bigger ones where in Japan. By clamping electrodes to my nipples.
We can try that out once we've settled in.
I'll even hold the camera for the two of you so that it will be recorded for posterity.
Works for me. Thank you all for watching. I've been Decker Shado. And remember, expanding to giant size is a time-honored tradition, and it should be treated with respect.
Or at the very least, handled with care.
Don't forget to apply lubricant.